Following up from our last week's 2023 Space Symposium, we would like to highlight some of the awards that were given out at the event. The Space Foundation annually honors outstanding individuals and organizations for achievement in space exploration, advocacy, education, innovation, and accomplishment. These awards were presented at the conference and highlight the best in the industry.
The Space Achievement Award, given to individuals or organizations that have demonstrated breakthrough and critical milestones in the evolution of space exploration and development, was presented to NASA's Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or known as DART team.
DART team, yes. In fact, don't know, Pat, if you knew this, but DART's probably one of the first of a number, first major one of a number of upcoming programs planned by NASA to see to what degree we can actually change the orbits of asteroids. You know, that's for a long time we've known that asteroids might come close to the planet, which actually, if it does hit the planet, would be a catastrophic event.
Like the movie in Armageddon.
Yep. I could see Independence Day 3 coming up based on this.
Right.
Another award was the Public Outreach Award, given to an individual or organization who has made significant contributions to the public awareness of space programs. This exciting award was given to the United States Postal Service for their beautiful stamp collection of space throughout the years. In fact, the USPS has celebrated achievements in space exploration for over 60 years.
Our very own Patricia Ventura compiled space stamps to share with everyone. So why don't we go ahead and play the video? Thank you to both Lexi and Patricia. I really enjoyed the stamps featuring the first astronaut who performed a spacewalk, Ed White, which occurred in 1967. And that was before Michael Jackson's moonwalk. And I'm not going to even attempt that. But Patty, what other awards were given out at the conference?
The James Webb Telescope team, comprised of Northrop Grumman and NASA, was given the award for space exploration. Now we can see deeper into space. We'll include some of these photos in an art talk when they become public. And finally, the Lifetime Space Achievement Award, the highest honor bestowed by the Space Foundation, was given to Daniel Golden, who really helped to pioneer the International Space Station with Russia at that time, and helped put policy changes in place for private space launches. He essentially put NASA back on the map during his time as NASA's administrator.
Yeah, Dan Golden was instrumental in leading the United States space industry to where it is today. In fact, AJ's book this week, featuring Howard McCurdy's book, Faster, Better, Cheaper, is inspired by Dan Golden's philosophy to reduce development times without sacrificing either performance or quality. I highly recommend that you read AJ's posting. That it'll be on LinkedIn. And AJ, you've known Dan for quite a while.
I have actually. Back in the very early 1980s, I was doing a nuclear hardening. I was an engineer at TRW. I was doing a nuclear hardening of a $1.5 billion satellite. Each satellite was about $1.5 billion of the Millstar constellation.
Right.
Dan was actually, he was a long-time TRW guy. He was actually the program manager of that. And I think at one point during that program, he was like 10 levels above me, right? 20 levels. I actually had the opportunity to brief him. And whenever you brief Dan, it's an unforgettable moment. Dan is probably one of the finest individuals in aerospace and defense. So
Yep.
of this era.
He cares about this whole industry and space and what
He
we're
does.
Accomplishing.
Yep.
There.
And in fact, Jacque and I are working with Dan today, even on a number of projects.
Yep.
Oh, great. Another thing to mention was the exciting announcement made by the Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall. He proposed new legislation that enables DoD to start new programs of record ahead of congressional approval. This speeds up the acquisition process.
So thank you, Patty. I would like to introduce a new segment for our town hall starting this week. In these segments, we'll give an overview of some of our clients. First, let's talk about the Thales Group. With a global presence spanning 5 continents, that's 5, it's a big deal. Thales is a true leader in technology, investing in cutting-edge digital and deep technology innovations, such as big data, artificial intelligence, connectivity, cybersecurity, and quantum technology.
Yeah, indeed. And that's, let's actually go ahead and show some slides. Lexi, if you don't mind, let's put those up there. And the 3 of us will talk you through a number of those.
Yep.
Now, Thales is headquarters in Paris. It's kind of quite interesting. We've had a number of clients talk to us about how Thales has actually globalized their business. And they're actually one of the models for how defense and high technology companies can go global.
Yes.
And so Thales headquartered in Paris, but they are actually a very large global company. Let's go to the next slide.
There's an attribute of that associated with Marconi as well.
You're right. They acquired Marconi, and who do we know that was an engineer at Marconi?
I think it's a Brit that we know. Oh, Dick Easom.
Indeed. All right, here, Jacque, why don't you show some statistics about Thales?
Yeah, so they have over 80,000 employees. They're in 68. That's a big number. 68 global countries, which is a huge global presence. $1 billion of self-funded R&D.
That's amazing.
I mean, there are people that would die to have that, right? And their sales are over 28 billion.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So also in the U.S., they're a major presence. As I mentioned, they're a fine example of how a European company can actually go global and have a major presence in the U.S. Some stats around their U.S. numbers.
Yeah, so they've got 5,000 people. Well, first of all, they've been here for 120 years. Think about that here in the U.S. But they've got over 5,000 people. They're in 22 states. They have a $1.4 billion in revenue, and they're in a variety of different business areas.
Yeah, in fact, let's go through some of those business areas. Next slide, please.
Yeah, I think they have 46 sites also.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so Thales, an area that they're actually the leader in an area which I've actually been personally involved in with actually a number of other SMAers on in-flight entertainment. They are the #1 global leader in in-flight entertainment.
Is that because we fly so much, AJ?
That may be, yeah. So in this area of their business line of avionics, let's go through some numbers.
Sure. Well, they're #1 in the flight entertainment connectivity. They're #3 in the commercial avionics, and they're #1 in the high power conversion products, and they're #1 in microwave and
microwave electronics.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. Yep. And this is around secure communications and information systems.
Yep. Yeah, and so they're very well versed in data protection services, and they're #2 in military and tactical communications.
Yeah, big radio business, right?
Yeah,
and they consider themselves #1 in the first area around essentially cybersecurity as well.
I think that's probably from their Marconi acquisition.
Maybe. Now they also produce a lot of land and air and also mission systems for defense and also civilian programs. Let's go to the next slide. So let's start with air traffic management. They're #1 globally in air traffic management. I think that's probably a common statistics people know about Thales.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're #3 in the military surface
radars,
and they're #1 in sonar systems.
That's right. Let's go to the next slide. Now, space. People don't really realize it, but they're actually a significant major entity in space. That started with their acquisition of Alenia, and I actually remember back here at SMA back in the 90s, actually 2 touch points back to Thales here. One is we actually helped Sony beat out Thales in a IFE system competition for United Airlines. We also actually helped Alenia Space in Italy. John Montgomery actually led that proposal for us in Italy. This was back in probably the mid '90s, right? And so some stats about them in space.
Yeah, I guess that's proof though that we've been a global company too, right?
True, true.
Yeah, so Thales is number one in telecommunication and satellite payloads, and they're number three worldwide in civil satellites, which is pretty impressive given the field of competition.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. So that's our overview of Thales.
Right. A very interesting company.
Yeah.
I think we've done a little bit of work
Yeah,
with
so
them
we're actually
recently.
on a very major procurement where we essentially have partnered with them,
Right.
as their advisor and trying to pursue a very major Navy NAVSEA program.
Yep.
We also have a number of other projects, discussions underway with them around both strategy work as well as capture and proposal work. And so we're looking forward to Thales becoming one of our core clients in the coming decade for sure.
That's right. And if I'm not mistaken, AJ, I think you're going to be on a road trip next week, and you might even be having conversations.
I'm going to
with
be actually taking the red eye Sunday night
That's
out
right,
to
that's
DC.
right.
It's been a long time since I've taken a red eye, but yeah, we're actually going to be seeing some Thales folks. We're going to an industry day meeting with the Navy and this one.
Very nice.